Andre, and I drive a 94 R package Miata.
Hey everyone, welcome to Garage Topics. I have my buddy here, Andre here, going over his Miata. So how long have you had the Miata for?
About 13 or 14 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
longer than I've had a car ever before. Because I have a problem, but it's going to change with S2000. But what made you buy the Miata? Like, why'd you pick the Miata specifically?
Well, it was inadvertent actually. I had an E30 BMW, and it was pretty modified. And a friend had bought this car, and he let me drive it. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So like I said, the BMW's suspension was done and things like that. So, you know, and I was getting to the point of really getting it dialed in, and then I drove the Miata. It did everything better. Mm-hmm. And it was more fun.
Yeah.
It was lighter, and it had manual steering, and the steering just blew me away. And
And I feel like the stuff's a lot cheaper for this too. Like,
it's a lot cheaper, and it just felt Japanese. I don't know if there's just something different. Yeah. But it only had 60,000 miles at the time.
had anything been done to it at that point?
No, not really. Just the basics. And
So, do you work on this car, or does someone else you know work on this car?
I do all the work myself. I've never, I don't think I've ever had anybody ever work on it, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bold.
Well, I had gotten a hankering for starting to work on things, and this car was my, sort of my training tool for really learning it. And they're so easy to work on, and they're so reliable. It's the most reliable car I've ever had.
That's crazy, yeah.
Even when you're normal daily drivers, this beats that.
Yeah.
Often.
What modifications off the top of your head does it have? Like the big ones, I guess.
Big ones. It's got a supercharger, a FFS supercharger, so it's a MP62 root style blower. It's running about 12 to 13 pounds of boost in cold weather, and water meth injection. It's got a different head on it. It got a 99 head, poured and polished cam, full exhaust. Suspension like ground control conies, braces, and big brakes, and a few other things like that. So I loved the car NA for many years, and sort of was on that route. And I owned a couple other Miatas in that time with bigger blowers, and they were really fun, but they were always kind of I don't know, I just never trusted them, and I didn't put them together either.
Okay.
And that was part of it. But they were faster. But this one just had the right, it was my car already, and then I came across the blower for very cheap. So I said, why not? I can probably sell it again if I so choose in a little while, and enjoy it while you can. And you know, it is what it is. It's not perfect, but it moves.
It'll scoot, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds good too, which is fun.
drive the Miata typically? What kind of situation do you drive it in?
It was my daily driver. It was my only car for about 8 or 9 years, which does good things. So you learn to buy less, travel light, and just enjoy life more. So I recommend it if you can do it and you're in your 20s, go for it.
Yeah.
And you can also carry wood in it with top down and stuff like that. So I use my car, but now I just use it mostly on the weekends or just when it's a nice day out. I got a legacy wagon that I use for daily driving, and you kind of realize that it's nice to have a normal car sometimes too.
So what made you want to get a daily? Was it practicality, or was it sitting? Were you doing something to build to the car that needed it to be down for a while?
Really and truly, it came down to the car just kept evolving and getting modified, and I was tracking it sometimes. And that's a bit of a slippery slope, and I think it got more and more compromised as a road car, and I just wanted a second vehicle just in case.
What do you do to avoid the car hobby?
I did work in the automotive racing industry for about 15 years. I did TrackMate. That was a product that I developed. It's a data acquisition system for race cars. Recently kind of wound that down, but yeah, that's what kind of got me into the racing world. But I was always into cars and motors and stuff. And I now work at VDOT, which is DOT, doing some graphics and things like that for them. But I'm hoping to get back into or at least stay really focused in the automotive industry. I love it. It's a small world. Not sure if I'd really focus on racing next, but.
Gotcha. And so did you need a degree for what you did, or like what got you into that?
Yeah, I'm an industrial designer by trade, and so, which is product design basically. And that was just, I saw a need in the market for an inexpensive, not particularly complicated setup for keeping track of what you do on the racetrack. So that's how that evolved. There's something about the car industry and car people and just the idea that you can come up with an idea that serves an interest that I certainly have, and a passion that I think a lot of people really have out there, and I love that. So.
Cool. Why do you like cars?
I was always into engines, so I used to take apart everything to get to the engine, and I used to like put it underwater, and I was always fascinated by motors. And for me, it was like remote control cars, and I was into that. And then finally, it was interesting. I had an Integra, and my second car was an Acura Integra. And my first car, it was a manual, but I didn't really rev it out that much. I was kind of scared to rev it out for some reason. I just wasn't sure what to do, right? And the Integra had that nice dual cam Honda motor, and I remember I needed to get on the highway, and it was like tight traffic construction area.
Yeah.
And I was in second gear, and I remember very distinctly, I was like, just had the floor to get up to speed, and when it went above 4,000 RPM, it just had that Honda revvy character and just pulled right up to redline, and I just remember I was like, that felt really good. That felt really smooth, and that's really what kind of, I remember that distinctly. That was like the trigger for me as to, starting to really kind of delve into it, and then playing, of course, Gran Turismo and things like that. That's kind of my generation, and yeah, it just evolved from there. The Integra was a lot of fun. Did a couple things to it, and but it's always been motors for me. Motors are sort of what it's come back to, and I love a really lightweight, fun handling car that makes interesting noises. That's always kind of high on my list.
Yeah.
And just kind of weird stuff, I mean, anything with complicated boost or even engine builds or throttle bodies, things like that. That's kind of more interesting to me than all-out power or things like that.
Gotcha. So like, what's the saying? Function over form.
Absolutely, yeah, and function mechanical things over say cleanliness. As you might discover.
Nah, it looks fine. Do you have any hobbies outside of cars? Like, is cars the main hobby for you?
Oh no, I do a lot of other things. I do my background is like fine art, so I do some art related things, as well as own a house. So there's that.
That's a hobby in itself.
That's a hobby as well as it's really fun. It was a foreclosure, so I got to do a lot of work to the house, and so I enjoy all that sort of thing. I like some good quality, like well written and well done video games sometimes. That's pretty fun. And I like helping people. I think I do that a lot, and so that's just something that sort of feeds into the car hobby, as well as just talking to people and connecting them and making things happen. I like to see people do well.
So what's the best advice you could give someone in the car hobby? Like, what's the best car advice that you've either got or can give to someone?
I would say start, zoom out and really think about what you want out of the car, rather than sort of picking a car or having a car and saying, okay, I want to do this with it. Sort of take a step back and say, like, what's the driving experience I want? And if that's in your current car, great. If it's not, find the car that fits that, rather than trying to make it into sort of what you want sometimes, because you'll end up modifying maybe a car you're putting a lot of money into something that's really just not gonna really ever do exactly what you really wanted. And to me, I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with really complicated things and full ECUs and all that kind of stuff, and I kind of always pull back to simplicity. I think that it's just more fun to work on a car and to drive a car that you know is going to work.
Yeah. Cool.
Keep it simple where you can. Buy a car that you can afford to modify, and most of all, enjoy it. It's only going to be here just like you for a little while, so don't baby it so much that you don't have a good time. Because what's the point?
Yeah. What are your future plans with the Miata?
Right now, the future plans are, I'm probably gonna, it's about 10 years overdue for a paint job, so I might do that next. And I'm exploring different suspension options. I've sort of relegated it to the street after doing tracking and stuff, and I think it's after working in that industry for a long time with, as they say, with age comes a cage. And so I'm not interested in tracking a car with just a roll bar.
Yep.
And so I would rather, if I'm gonna have a track car, I really want it to be a dedicated track car, and with a trailer and tarps and etc. So I've relegated this to the street, so I'll probably just do some nicer creature comfort things, and then if and when the motor blows, it's either gonna be modify the current supercharger setup, get a different setup, or build a NA motor, most likely. I've got an engine behind me and got options, and I don't plan on ever selling the car, so
cool.
Why not just play around with it?
So if you were to get another car, like either this replace this, which isn't going to happen obviously, but probably a daily or something like that, what would be your next car potentially?
Well, I've got an older Subaru Legacy, so I might get another some kind of all-wheel drive wagon. I love wagons. And then I definitely will be owning a 3rd gen RX-7 at some point. I'm not sure if that'll be a JDM when they become imported to the States, or an American car that I modify.
Would you keep that rotary, you think?
I would love to experience the rotary for a little while, and if I fall in love, which I might, I'll keep it. If not, I think the best swap that I can think of would be the BMW V8 out of the M3 with the 6-speed manual.
All right.
All aluminum.
That's be another episode. Watch out for that one. Hey, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you guys like this episode. We'll have more of them coming up for sure. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know in the comments below. Like it, subscribe it, you know what to do. we'll change this up a little bit. Normally I tell your dog to subscribe. Tell your cat to subscribe to the channel. Cats love cars and they love subscribing to YouTube channels, so be sure to do that. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.